Today, we're going to pry open the vet's toolkit. We're going to explore the incredible stories that samples from your horse can tell, and see how vets are basically medical detectives, using these tiny clues to solve some really complex health mysteries.
You've probably wondered this yourself, right? When the vet pulls out a needle or a swab, what on earth are they really looking for? Well, today, we're cracking that case wide open and digging into the science behind the sample.
But hey, before we get to the cool tools in the kit, let's start with the mission itself. Why is collecting these samples so incredibly important in the first place?
To put it simply, samples are the evidence. They're the first, most critical pieces of the puzzle that let a vet see what's really going on inside your horse. And you know, this isn't just for when a horse is sick. It's also for confirming they're healthy, for catching problems super early, and for stopping a disease in its tracks before it ever has a chance to spread.
Now, getting good evidence isn't as simple as just grabbing a sample and calling it a day. Oh no, there are strict rules to follow. You gotta think of it like a crime scene. If the evidence gets contaminated, the entire case can just fall apart.
These are the absolute non-negotiables of veterinary diagnostics. I mean, choosing the wrong swab, using a dirty container, or even just mislabeling a tube, any one of those mistakes can lead to a completely false conclusion. For instance, if a vet is hunting for a specific virus, that sample has to be kept on ice during transport. Or when testing for antibodies to see if a horse has been exposed to something, serum is the gold standard. Every single step is that precise for a reason.
And here's the thing. The sample itself is only half the story. This quote right here gets to the very heart of it. The lab needs the context. Is the horse showing any signs? What's its vaccination history? What's it been eating? Without that case report, the lab is basically just looking at a puzzle piece with no picture on the box to guide them. That report, that's the picture.
All right, let's get into the most common tool in the entire vet's diagnostic toolkit, blood. It is the absolute workhorse of sample collection, and believe me, it's for a very, very good reason. This right here is the real superpower of blood work. It gives vets a window, a peek inside the horse's internal health that lets them spot things like inflammation, infection, or organ trouble long before the horse ever looks a little off or shows any outward signs of being sick. It's proactive medicine at its absolute finest.
So have you ever noticed all those different colored tops on the blood tubes? Well, it turns out they're not just for decoration. It's a code. Each color signals a different secret ingredient inside, a specific anticoagulant for a specific mission. A purple top has EDTA, which preserves blood cells for a complete count. The green top has heparin, which gives the lab plasma for chemistry tests. The red top, it has nothing, which lets the blood clot and leaves behind serum for other tests. And the blue top has sodium citrate, which is perfect for checking how well the blood can clot. That color tells the lab exactly what the vet is investigating.
And you know, drawing that blood is a real skill. Vets are trained to find that vein, insert the needle at just the right angle, we're talking about 20 degrees, and then let the vacuum tube do all the work. It's all about precision. The whole technique is designed to get a perfect, clean sample safely and efficiently every single time.
Blood is incredibly useful, no doubt, but sometimes the clues to a health mystery are hidden somewhere else entirely, and that's when vets have to pull out some more specialized collection methods to track them down.
Okay, next up, fecal samples. Not the most glamorous topic I know, but they are absolutely essential. Vets use them to do what's called a fecal egg count, which helps them track a horse's internal parasite load. And that's what allows them to create a smart, effective deworming plan.
Now, what's really interesting here is just how easily a fecal sample can be ruined. You have to get it fresh, and you have to keep it cool in the fridge. Why? Well, because the whole goal is to count the parasite eggs. If you freeze the sample, or worse, leave it in a hot car, those extreme temperatures can actually destroy the eggs, making the test completely useless. So yeah, proper handling is everything.
All right, now for a truly high-stakes procedure, collecting cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF. This is the fluid that literally bathes the brain and spinal cord. Collecting it is definitely not a routine test. Vets only do this when they suspect a really serious neurologic disease, like EPM or meningitis, because it gives them a direct look at the health of the central nervous system.
And this is just brilliant because it shows how incredibly precise vets have to be. They don't just collect this fluid from anywhere. They target the collection site to be as close to the suspected problem, the lesion, as possible. If they think it's a brain disease, they'll collect from the atlanto-occipital site, right at the pole. If the signs are pointing to a spinal cord issue, they'll go for the lumbosacral site over the croup. It's all about getting the most relevant clue you possibly can.
And get this, the second that sample is collected, a clock starts ticking. And it is ticking fast. 30 minutes. That's the entire window the lab has to examine the cells in a fresh CSF sample before they literally start to disintegrate. These cells are so fragile, so that race against time is absolutely critical for getting a diagnosis.
So, we've looked at the rules, the workhorse that is blood, and some of the specialized tools for those tougher mysteries. Now, let's bring it all together and see how this all leads to the final goal, a diagnosis.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that all of this meticulous work, the sterile technique, the correct tube, the right temperature, the detailed notes, it all serves one single purpose: to get a perfect, uncontaminated piece of evidence. And that perfect sample is what makes a precise diagnosis possible, which, in turn, leads to the right treatment plan to get that horse healthy again. In the end, what looks like just a simple tube of blood or a small swab, well, it's actually packed with potential answers. Each and every one holds a key to unlocking a medical mystery. It's a powerful reminder of the incredible detective work that goes on behind the scenes, all to keep our horses healthy.